Common carotid artery. The common carotid actually splits into the external and internal carotid artery. And the one that I want you to know is the internal carotid artery, okay? Common carotid, don't worry about it. External carotid, don't worry about it. Internal carotid is what I want you to worry about because we're focusing here on the brain. The internal carotid artery, which is here in red, is going to move up into the brain. So that's going to be the major vessel that supplies oxygen to the brain, is the internal carotid artery. What is the hole that the internal carotid artery passes through? The carotid canal. The carotid canal is what it passes through, okay? So the carotid canal is what it passes through. Now, you have to know that for your lab exam. Okay, we've gone over the carotid canal before in earlier part of the semester, so you have to know it, and that's why you had to know it. This particular nerve right here is in fact the vagus nerve. Okay, so that's the vagus nerve. That's cranial nerve 10, and actually is on the internal carotid. So the internal carotid artery is going to pass up inside the skull through the carotid canal and supply blood to the brain. There's also going to be another artery that passes through the transverse foramen, and we can see it right here. Okay, my stick is on it. It's a little hard to see, but it's right there in the transverse foramen of the cervical vertebra. And the name of that artery right there is known as the vertebral artery. So this is in fact the vertebral artery. Again, the vertebral artery is passing through the transverse foramen. So when we look at this model over here, this is a cervical vertebra. How do we know it's cervical vertebra? Bifid spinous process. And here are the vertebral arteries passing through the transverse foramen. Okay? So here are the vertebral artery passing through the transverse foramen. Okay? Thank you. So the vertebral arteries are in fact going to go up, and they're going to pass through the foramen magnum. So here we have the foramen magnum, and here we have the vertebral arteries. So my stick right now is on the vertebral arteries. Okay? It's on one of the vertebral arteries. So the vertebral artery, again, is going to pass through the foramen magnum. Okay? So the vertebral arteries, the two vertebral arteries, are going to go up like this. They're going to join together and then form a major vessel that goes up. That major vessel that goes up straight is going to be known as the basilar artery. So this artery right here is called the basilar artery. So this artery right here is called the basilar artery. And it's going to be on the anterior part of the pons. Okay? It's going to be attached to the anterior part of the pons. So this, again, is the basilar artery. Does everybody see that? Over here on my left, take a look. Basilar artery. Okay? Basilar artery. The basilar artery is going to go up, and it's going to go off these two branches. Okay? It's going to go off these two branches. Now remember, the cerebrum's up here, and the cerebellum is going to be deeper. So these two branches right here are known as the posterior cerebral arteries. So this is the posterior cerebral artery. Okay?
Yeah, I don't know what happened. It's still recording.
Flash happened either, but don't worry about it. Okay, so the internal carotid artery, again, is going to come up. And the vertebral was these two. Then it comes up to the basilar and then forms the posterior cerebral. The internal carotid is here. Does everybody see that? Okay, so here's the internal carotid, and it's going to give off two branches. It's going to give off this branch here, which is known as the anterior cerebral, and it's going to give off this branch here, which is known as the middle cerebral. So we have the anterior cerebral, the middle cerebral, and the posterior cerebral. Thank you. So anterior cerebral, middle cerebral, and posterior cerebral. Okay? The middle cerebral and the anterior cerebral are branches off of the internal carotid artery. Okay? Okay. So that's going to bring oxygenated blood up to the brain. Cut.